Ariel Helwani brought it to my attention earlier, and I believe falsely, but brought to my attention, we were having a talk, doing Ariel the bad guy, and he goes, Chael, by the way, what did Charles Oliveira ever do to you? Is this personal between you and him? What? He goes, yeah, everywhere we turn, you're saying Oliveira shouldn't get the championship shot. You keep dogging the guy. He's won 8 fights in a row. What more do you want from him? I go, whoa. That's not the case at all. If you're asking me to make a prediction of who is going to have the championship shot next, no, I'm not going to insert Charles Oliveira. That's true. I believe it's going to be Conor McGregor versus Dustin Poirier. I believe if you just want to have something to talk about, and it was a talk show, that you could also say Nate Diaz, because Dustin is going to get a say in this matter, and he might be looking for some parity. I mean, at some point, Dustin's going to get a say. It's going to be a very different fight experience for him. It's not going to be Dana calls him up and says, here's what you're doing next. I've been with Dana 16 years. I can assure you I'm right. He's going to call Dustin and say, what do you want to do? But then Dana will talk too. He'll go, well, here's what I was thinking. And they'll work something out, but it will be a different call. And because Dustin will be given the opportunity to say what he wants to do, I am predicting he might say Diaz for the parity. It is not the same chip on Dustin's shoulder that it would be on Conor. If you go 1-1 with a guy, but you went last, you can go to the grave. You can live just fine with that. That's not 1-1 to you. That's I beat him. Like you could go 4-1 if you got the last one. So I am open to hearing what Dustin has to say. And when we got to the press conference, Dustin had a few things to say, and they all sounded like he wanted to fight Nate Diaz. I will concede back to you. It didn't necessarily sound like it had to be next or that it wanted to be more than Conor. But make no mistake, he wanted to fight Nate Diaz. If you were to juxtapose that about when he was asked about Michael Chandler, he dismissed the fight. He said, look, Chandler did a great job tonight. I'm glad you're all impressed. But if you think I'm going to be impressed because a kid on his first day just beat a guy who I just beat, that doesn't wow me. It was a fair answer, but it also dismissed that talk. Which if we were to go back a week ago, we all agreed as a community that they were in a Grand Prix, that they were in the semifinals, that the winner of the co-main was going to face the winner of the main. Now we've decided that we've got a new opinion, right? I'm guilty of it too. We've all done this as a community, but it appears that you're down to Conor and Nate. And maybe even a step, but Nate would be in number 2. And if you start looking at the 3 guys that are left, they're more compelling than Oliveira versus Poirier. Michael Chandler versus Oliveira is a fascinating match, not only because of what's on the line, but the X's and O's of that match is extremely interesting. Oliveira predicted before he fought Tony that he would out-wrestle Tony. And everybody thought that was just noise. That was just words coming out of his mouth. And then he out-wrestled Tony. Okay, well, all of a sudden, that's going to be pretty compelling when that's one of Chandler's biggest strengths. If I was to tell you that Oliveira was going to fight Gaethje, you're going to love that idea. And if I was to tell you that Chandler and Gaethje were going to fight, I mean, you'd be in a really tough spot to tell me in order of 1 through 3 how you want to see those guys get matched up. Oliveira versus Gaethje. Gaethje versus Chandler, Chandler versus Oliveira. It'd be hard for you to actually come to a 1, 2, 3. All of them. I'll just take them all, right? You know that default where you get asked 3 really good options? I've got any one of them. The waitress does that at the restaurant. Hey, you want fries or a baked potato? You choose, right? I mean, right? Sometimes you just have like these dead washes. So I was never trying to insult Oliveira. And for some reason, I feel compelled to say I've been very impressed with Oliveira. But to talk about championship talks, and to make a hedge or a guess as to who Poirier will be facing for the championship, you would be wiser to predict Khabib. You would be wiser to predict it will be Poirier versus Khabib than to say Poirier versus Oliveira. That's not going to happen. And I'm a little confused as to what part of this is the insult. Oliveira is a main eventer in his next fight, unless he fights on the same card as the championship fight, whether that's Diaz-Poirier or Poirier-McGregor. The only chance he is anything less than a main event. So the only point I'm trying to make is Oliveira's in a great spot. He can handle me saying that he's not getting the title fight next. And by the way, he's not.
He's been running these streets for years, and he's still here, and so is fear. Undisputed, never lost a round. Bodies hit the ground when the bad guy comes to town. American gangster, this man will put a hurt on you. You'll be crying for your mama by the time he's through. You better believe that your life's in danger when you see the American gangster.